Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Kaushik Sengupta. Welcome to the webinar for the Hofstra Online MBA program tonight, and thank you at the outset for your time for this next 1 hour. What we want to do is give you, obviously, hopefully a good overview about the program, and essentially give you some idea about how this program has evolved over the last couple of years. I do have Mr. Kevin Taylor, who is the Executive Director of the ZARP graduate programs, all the graduate business programs at the ZARP School. I myself am a professor in the Department of Management, and I am currently also the Director of the Online MBA program. So between Kevin and myself, I think we'll be able to give you a good overview about the program. I want to turn to Kevin first to talk about the rankings that that he knows better about, because he deals with this on a day-to-day basis. So Kevin, do you want to talk about the rankings a little bit?
Yes, I wanted to say good evening, everybody. We're very pleased that you could make it. We have a very good turnout tonight, so I'm very pleased with this. I hope everybody had a good holiday. Let me talk about the rankings, because we actually work very, very, very hard on these rankings. And we do it for no other reason other than to draw attention to the fact that we are really amongst the best in the tri-state area. The first one you'll see, second best in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, only behind NYU. Fifth best in the Northeast, 49th best in the country. Now these rankings are directly related to our part-time, or what you could do it also full-time, our evening MBA program. Why is it on an online MBA slide? Well, the significance of that is because in this program, and Dr. Sengupta will talk about it later on in the presentation, you will only be learning from full-time faculty. You will not be learning from adjuncts or part-time or anybody like that. It's full-time faculty. And these rankings are part of that. Everybody that teaches in our part-time MBA program also teach in the online MBA program and our executive MBA program, to be honest with you. This program is really and should be considered an online executive MBA program, because the rigor and caliber of the program does lend itself to be titled that type of program. The newest ranking that we have, 71st out of top 100 online MBA rankings. Now, this one is a big one, and it's a big one because we just started the program a year and a half ago, and we came onto the scene with a splash. Okay, we came from not being ranked at all with no program to 71st out of 100. Now, the only reason why we're not higher is because some of the other factors that calibrated into the level of the ranking were based on an actual graduating class. This May will be the first graduating class that we have, so we weren't able to be ranked because we didn't have a class to base that information on. So again, these are the rankings that we're very proud of, and there are links. You should have all received an email from me at some point giving you detailed information about the program and about the various webinars. On the bottom of my signature is a link that will take you directly to these listings. So if you have any interest in looking at other programs, let us know. Other rankings, let us know.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. And as Kevin mentioned, the first class is finishing up this May, so we haven't graduated anybody yet because this program actually started in fall of 2011. And so right now, let me just go a little bit into the overview for the program itself. And I'm showing you a few things here. Essentially, this is AACSB accredited program. It's a 2-year program, and we call it a cohort program if you stay in the cohort plan. And essentially what I mean by that is that if you stay in the cohort plan, you have to take the sequence of courses that we tell you to take, and if you do that, then you finish the program in 2 years. You do have the option to opt out of the cohort after the first semester. If you say that, okay, I want a reduced course load in a particular semester due to whatever reason that you may have at that time, we will allow you to do that. And of course, the trade-off there is that if you do opt out of the cohort, it's going to take you longer than 2 years to complete the program. There is a very small class of up to 25 students, as you can see. We want to keep the program small, number one, because the online courses are better off when we have a smaller group. And secondly, we want to grow the program, as it grows organically over the years. And since it's still new, we want to control the program with only up to 25 students, essentially. So if you're seriously interested in the program for this year, and I should also say that because it's a cohort program, we only have a fall semester admission only. So at this point, we are admitting for fall of 2013. Essentially, applications have started coming in. We've made a couple of, I said not a couple, but slightly more than a couple of admission decisions, and there have been a lot of inquiries this year about the program. So if you are planning for this September, you should seriously think about making everything ready for the application and get it going, essentially. And in a little later on in the presentation, we will talk about what you need to do to make the application happen. The courses are all completely online. So essentially, I think this part Kevin mentioned that it's taught by the full-time faculty members only. The courses, the core courses in the program, are essentially the same core courses as in the regular on-campus program. And the same faculty members who teach on campus are the ones who are teaching online. So you're going to get the same quality of courses in terms of the delivery, the content, and everything else. The only difference is going to be that it's online. And of course, there's a few other differences which I'll talk about because it's online and because it's part of this specific program rather than the the more base program, which is the evening program, that is. So that's kind of an overall overview here. Now, I should also tell you that the reason why we give you the flexibility to opt out of the cohort after the first semester is because we want people to have that flexibility. But we also want everybody to experience the cohort-based program, at least for the first semester. And the main reason for that is to bring the sense of, that you belong to a particular group of peer students as you go through the program. And we would like you to experience that, particularly because these are online courses, and it's very important, we feel, to know who else is in the program, to know the face behind, the face behind the name kind of thing, essentially. So, and I should tell you that in the first two groups of students who have joined the program, 95% of the students, actually in the second group which joined last fall in 2012, everybody is continuing in the cohort plan. So nobody has dropped out of the cohort to go into the non-cohort plan. In the first year, we've had 1 or 2 students drop out of the cohort plan to go into the non-cohort plan. So the majority of the students have actually stayed with the same group throughout the 2 years, essentially. Let me just give a little bit more overview in terms of the curriculum structure. So as I'm saying, this is actually the cohort plan. As I said, it's 2-year completion time. On an average, you're going to see 4 courses in a semester. The way the courses are structured is these courses are 3-credit courses. They are 7 weeks long each, and you're going to get 2 courses at any one time. So you get 2 of the 4 courses in the first 7 weeks of a semester, and then you have a 1-week break, and then you get the second 2 courses in the second 7 weeks of the semester. So that's how the courses are structured, and that's, of course, if you stay in the cohort plan. If you do the non-cohort, you get a lesser number of courses, essentially. Now, also, when we devised or developed this program back in 2011, we obviously looked at a lot of other schools who have online MBA programs, and we did not want this to be an unstructured, completely unstructured online set of courses. We wanted a structure around this, which is why we have the 2-year cohort plan, but we also wanted to get a sense of, for the students who are in the program, we wanted them to get a sense of belonging to the overall Hofstra campus, that is. So we bring them to campus a few times during the program. The first time we bring them in is the first residency, is what we call it. It is, as you can see, it's end of August before the program starts. It's like a 4-day orientation residency in order to essentially minimize the disruption to the work schedules. Essentially what we do is we make that residency start on a Friday, go over Saturday and Sunday, and end around midday on Monday, that is, so that you have those 4 days. And I can't tell you how valuable that residency has been to the last 2 groups of students. I mean, they get to meet each other for the first time. They're together for the next 4 days. At the end of the 4 days, they absolutely know who else is in the program. Not only that, these residency sessions are where you're getting acclimated to kind of a rigorous program. It is a rigorous program because it's an ACSB accredited program. And what you're really looking at is to, to get your feet wet, if I will, if you want to kind of look at it that way, because you're meeting with the faculty, you're meeting with the administrators. The first 4 courses in that first semester, you're actually meeting each of those faculty members in about a 1 hour to a 90-minute session, where the first introductory kind of session is done face-to-face. So the residency is valuable from that perspective. There's also quite a few other sessions where, we do a few exercises in teamwork, communication. You get to know what an online program is, or what is it that you should be looking for in online courses. So it's a rich set of sessions over those 4 days, and we call that orientation residency. But at this point, we would like every admitted student who have decided to join, let's say this fall, to be in that residency at the end of August, basically. All right. So that's our first residency. The second residency is at the end of the program. We have a capstone course at the end, which is the last course in the program, which incidentally, because the first group has not graduated yet, they're going to take it in this May, basically. So the second residency would essentially orient around quite a few activities around that capstone course leading up to the graduation. So I can't say too much more about the second residency at this point because we haven't had one yet. So, but that's how the structure is for the 2 residencies. Now, I should also tell you that the first residency was so valuable to these students that they actually asked for a similar optional 1-day on-campus meet the faculty session at the beginning of each semester. So, and this purely came back, through from feedback from the students. They said, it'll be great to meet back again for a day on campus, just before the courses start again. So incidentally, the current group of students are actually coming together again next Friday on campus to again do, the sessions with the faculty members and the administrators to give some feedback on the program and therefore. So, so you can see we want to bring the extension of the campus, the physical campus that we have, into this online MBA program, and this is a way to kind of connect back to the campus, that is. We also have a pretty significant component which is called the global practicum, which is again built into the structure of the program because everything, as you know, is global today in business. So it's very important to kind of understand that aspect of business. And we as faculty members obviously teach a lot of global aspects in these courses, but you would not get the kind of experience in the courses as you would if you were on a trip for, let's say, a week, going to a place where you've never been before. So usually we end up going to 1 or 2 countries over this 1 week, and the way this is structured is that we leave from a Friday here and we come back the following Sunday. And I'll give you some more details regarding our experience with the global practicum this past summer and where we're going this summer with the current group. But that one is built in. So so if I were you, I'm looking at, how much time do I need to spend away from work on campus for the program, which is 2 years long. You're really looking at that 1 week in the summer for the global practicum, and the few days in the first residency, which, as I said, it's over a weekend. So you're really looking at a couple of days there, and a couple of other days at the end of the program. So between the first, second residency and the international trip, I'm asking basically that you give me about 10 days out of the 2 years where you need to spend time with the rest of the group face-to-face. And those are important components for the program, which is why we call them as mandatory components at this point of time, and we'll go from there essentially. So that's kind of an overview in terms of the structure. And I already went through this, the 4-day on-campus event, as I just mentioned to you. Faculty and administrators, we get workshops. Quite a few, actually this past summer we had a few sessions with industry executives. We had the CEO of United Healthcare New York come and talk to the students, and that was a great session. He actually brought a team of 5 or 6 of his top executives and did about a 3-hour session with the current group of students. There's networking events with clubs. There is all the things with the program policies and the systems and so on to get you used to that or get you familiar with that. And as I said, we want to treat this program as any other program on campus. So one of the big things is whatever services that we have available on campus is going to be available to you as an online MBA student. And one of the main things there is the career services. We do have a dedicated career service group for the Zarb School of Business, who only look at the graduate programs from a career perspective standpoint, that is. And we do have a section in that residency where they're going to talk to you about, if anybody of you is looking at possible career change or, a different kind of a career track after you've finished up the MBA, they will be there to help you basically. And again, it's an extension of what we have on campus, and so we feel that we need to bring it into this program also. And of course, working with the cohort, that has been one of the biggest plus points of doing a residency like this. Let me talk to you about the global
Dr.
a little bit.
Dr. Sengupta?
Yeah.
I just wanted to interject for a second. We're getting questions from some of the people, but and I know we'll answer them towards the end. However, there is one person that asked a question asking what is this webinar going to specifically discuss. So if that person could ask us the question again so we could get more detailed information. Just as an overall statement, we're literally going to go through every point of the program, from admissions to curriculum to content structure, the makeup of the cohort group, the residencies, the international trip, and then questions at the end. So if to the person that wrote that question, if that's what you're interested in, that's what this presentation will be about. If you're looking for anything else in particular, please ask us the question again, and I'll relay that to Dr. Sengupta. Thank you.
Also, yeah, thanks, Kevin. And also, we're going to have both of our emails at the end. So if you have very specific questions regarding your, application or whatever the question may be, please send us an email after the end of this session, because this is, again, a general overview of the program itself. So, yes, we'll go through all those components. So let me talk to the global practicum quickly. This was obviously in 2012 with the first group of students. And as you can see, we visited Hong Kong, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Beijing over the span of 10 days, essentially. Major companies we met there, and these are not all the companies we met there. I mean, these are just a representative sample of all the companies. And as you can see, meetings with the Morgan Stanley Asia Pacific CFO, Think Center Marketing Manager, IBM Research Center Head. We visited the world's largest Sam's Club, which is incidentally in Shenzhen. And of course, the cultural immersion is a big part of the learning also. You don't really understand or, don't really get what it takes to do business there until you go and spend a few days there. And of course, we understand that, number one, essentially, you need to understand that 1 week is obviously not enough, but we also want to be flexible where we don't end up asking too much of your time in an online program like this. So we try to do kind of a trade-off there and say that, okay, we spend 10 days between the travel and everything else, and that at least gives you some kind of immersion than having nothing there, basically. And I would tell you that the students who come back from this trip are always enlightened, because this is a part of the world where most of us have not seen before and have not experienced what it is like to do business there. So, for example, the Asia Pacific CFO is actually a U.S. expatriate who was with Morgan Stanley here in New York, and then moved there basically, and basically is heading from the Hong Kong office at this point of time. So his perspective, having done business there for the last 15, 20 years, is just unique essentially, and you're never going to get that in a class. So that's why the Global Practicum is so important in the overall scheme of the program itself. This is just a comment from, and I should also tell you that the Global Practicum is tied to the courses. For instance, the International Business course that actually follows the trip in the following fall semester. The marketing faculty member who teaches that course was on the trip last year, and he'll be on the trip again this summer. And this is also, this is his comments essentially as a result of the trip, basically. So, and there's a tie-up between what we saw on the trip and what he does in the course, in his course, which is an International Business course. So, that natural tie-in is there as part of the curriculum to the, the practicum mapping, that is. Let me talk quickly about the major concentrations. When we started the program in 2011, we had, and we still have, obviously, this particular major, which is called Strategic Business Management. And the reason for this major is, again, when we was doing the research for what we should have in the online program, there was a lot of inputs from various sources which say people who are looking for a program like this are kind of in their early to middle level in their career, and they're looking more like a general, more for a general MBA, which would give them more like a strategic kind of a, expertise and exposure, that is, through the program itself. So that's how we designed this, the courses in this program. And what you're seeing here right now is the curriculum is currently structured around, it's a 48 credit hour program, of which there are 12 courses which are, we call a core courses, which everybody has to take irrespective of their major. And there are 5 additional courses which we call are the electives, which are the concentration courses. So the 5 headers you see here are really the 5 concentration courses under that major, basically. All right, so we have a corporate financial policy course, there's a strategy and accounting course, there's a sustainability course, there's a strategic planning and marketing course, and so on. And you can see most of these courses incorporate the global strategic perspective of business, because that's what the overall concentration is all about. So this is the first major we started off with in fall of 2011. Then last year, and I talked about the linkages to global practicum already. Last fall, we started the health services management major. And essentially, we have, again, similar to the strategic management, we have 5 courses here in IT and marketing, in human resources, finance, and in legal and ethics, basically. So this is obviously a new major for us. We do have an on-campus version of the health services major in the MBA program level, but this program and this major itself is different from the one we have on campus, and these are all new courses, most of them, that is. So, so you can see what we've tried to do here is to have a multifunctional focus to the health services area, and obviously touching upon the recent and most upcoming development that we have for the in that particular industry. So just to give you an idea in terms of the what we have in the program. So these are the 2 major areas that we have that you can concentrate on as part of being in the online MBA program. But since we wanted to build the flexibility in the program, we also have built in a case where if you want to say to me or to us that, well, I want to be in the online MBA program, but I don't want to do either one of these 2 majors, but I want to become, let's say, a finance major or a marketing major. In that case, what ends up happening is that what we tell you to do is, yes, all the concentrations that we have available on campus are available in the online program also. But the only caveat there is we have a bandwidth constraint that we cannot offer all electives in all majors as an online course, that is. So what we end up doing is we say, okay, if you want to do, let's say, a finance major, you can do it, but the 5 electives that you're going to look at for the finance major have to be taken on campus. Now, granted that one of those electives is part of the strategic management major, so maybe we can switch one of those courses to so I guess there's a poll screen which is up, so we're going to wait for you to take the poll for a few seconds.
Yes, if everybody that's on here could actually take the poll, that would be great. The timing of it was off. We apologize for that. For Dr. Sengupta, he's mentioned our 2 grassroots concentration, again, the strategic business management or the health services management. If you were to add the other concentrations that he's mentioning, you'd have to, again, do that in the residential format. You couldn't do it online. But for the purposes of this webinar and for our planning, we'd like to know of everybody that's logged in here, please let us know which concentration you are interested in. If we could just do this over the next 60 seconds, that would be great. Thank you.
So I'm not going to speak until the 60 seconds is up, so please put your poll in. It's just a button, I guess.
Okay, thank you everybody for that. We appreciate that. Dr. Sengupta, for your knowledge, it's 80% strategic and 20% health services.
Great. I should talk more strategy here, I guess. Anyway, let me just continue what Kevin was just mentioning, the 5 electives to be taken on campus, and depending on your schedule, because those electives are offered as part of the regular evening programs, we'll have to work with you to come up with essentially a flexible and customized schedule for you if you're interested in any of the other majors. And it looks like none of you are at this point of time. Okay, I'm going to turn over the next slide to Kevin because it talks about admission requirements, and I'm going to just put the entire slide up here, and then Kevin, you can kind of go through the bullet points.
Okay, from an admission standpoint, the process is very similar to all of our programs, our evening program, our executive MBA program, and our MS programs. The difference with the online MBA program in particular, though, is that for those of you that have 5 years or more of progressive work experience with increasing responsibility, you qualify for a GMAT waiver. Okay. Now, I'll just start off with the top bullet. You have to fill out an application form. However, for everybody that's logged in, we automatically will waive the application fee. So right there you save $70. What that means is that you must apply within the next 24 hours to qualify. When we say apply, we simply mean just that. Fill out the application form. None of the other bullets below need to be submitted in order to take advantage of the waiver. So once you submit your online application, that will generate the application waiver. The second bullet, GMAT or GRE score, is required for everybody else that has less than 5 years of work experience, or for those that have over 5 years of work experience but not seen as progressive. The way that we will determine the progressive nature is solely based on your resume, the fourth bullet. You could send it to either Dr. Sengupta or myself, or both of us. Our emails are at the end of the presentation, and we will review it, and Dr. Sengupta will get back to you immediately to let you know you qualify or you don't qualify, so that you have enough time to prepare to take the GMAT if it is required. We need your official transcripts from any and all of your schools, so that would be undergrad and grad if you attended a grad school. We need your personal statement, 2 letters of recommendation. For international students, we would need a TOEFL or an IELTS score, and you would have a phone conversation with Dr. Sengupta. Now, I will let you know that after you fulfill all of these requirements, for those that are admitted to the program, as long as you apply, complete the
Kevin, I'm going to put up the next slide. I think this has it on there.
Okay. Do you want to speak to that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. If you apply and you're accepted and you get your deposit in before March 31st, we'll cut the deposit in half to $500. For everybody else that waits until after the 31st, the deposit goes up to the regular amount, which is $1,000. Now, the significance of this is that we have a cap on the program of only 25. We will only admit 25 students in total between both cohorts, Strategic Business Management and Health Services Management, to the program. And we have already received a few deposits, so we're well on our way towards fulfilling the seats of 25. So if you do feel that this is the program for you, and you're on this webinar simply to confirm information, and that you do plan to apply and enroll in the fall, please contact Dr. Sengupta ASAP so that you can take advantage of not only the application fee waiver, but the 50% discount with your deposit.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. I think I should also mention that, I'm going to go back to the previous slide one more time. And I think, Kevin, you mentioned this, the progressive work experience is very important. And the reason why we do it is because we know, and again, based on research of the typical person who is looking for an online program, that you cannot take an equivalent MBA program on campus due to work, family, and other constraints. and you're really looking at, doing the MBA, and you really postponed it up until now because, you didn't have an option other than going on campus somewhere, which didn't work for you probably. So the waiver of the GMAT is really kind of a reward for the work experience that you've already had, and that's why the bar is slightly higher in terms of figuring out what we mean by progressive is basically all those things that are shown here, which is, you need to be managing work teams, direct reports, responsibility over budgets, having done some strategic initiatives for your organization, some combination of that. And it's a subjective evaluation done by a few of us together, as you can see. So that's why we need the resume before we can make the determination, as to whether you qualify or not. But please send us your resume if you think that you will qualify or otherwise, and then we'll get back to you, as Kevin mentioned, very quickly. All right. This is the program cost, which is $64,500. This is actually for last year. We haven't come up with the figure yet for this year. I don't think neither Kevin nor I know what's it going to be for this fall, but it's probably not going to be too much different from what you're seeing here. It's an all-inclusive program is what we say, which means that it covers the tuition for the courses, it covers the cost of the course materials, and it covers the cost for attending the global practicum, and also the domestic residencies, except for the travel part of it, because we don't know at this point as to who's coming from where geographically, that is. But you can see it's an all-inclusive program, and it is a locked-in cost for the next 2 years essentially. So so you know upfront what your cost is going to be for the program when you start the program, that is. And I should tell you that between the 17 courses in the program and the fact that the course materials are covered, usually an average course, the cost of the course materials is about anywhere from 150 to 300 bucks basically. So if you count that over 17 courses, that part of the cost is covered as part of the tuition, which you'll not get in many other places essentially. The global practicum itself, as I mentioned, it's covered, which means your air travel is covered, and everything that you have to do, you literally don't have to worry about anything other than to bring yourself and bring your passport and and everything else that you need on the trip, because we basically take care of everything, starting with the hotel, with the ground transportation, with the meals and everything else. All right, so all that is included as part of the overall package, that is. Let me talk a little bit about the first two cohorts, because it will give you an idea as to what type of students we have in the program. As you can see, in fall 11 we admitted 19 people, and of course we only had the strategic management that year. Out of the 19, we had one person who dropped out in the very beginning of the program. One person dropped out because he could not continue the program because of his family reasons after the first semester. And then the third person is the only one who actually moved out of the online MBA into the evening program. And I should tell you also, I don't think we mentioned this explicitly before, that you do have the option to go out of the online MBA program into the regular evening program on campus if you feel that's the option you want to take. Now, the only caveat there is that if we had waived you the GMAT during admission to the online program because of your work experience, then subsequently, if you decide to move to the on-campus program at that point of time, you would have to take the GMAT, because that is a standard requirement for admission for the evening program. We don't have a GMAT waiver for the evening program. So, so we had one student who moved to the evening program, and the remaining 16 people all stayed in the cohort plan. None of them have gone to a non-cohort plan. And you can see the variety of people are, it's pretty diverse in terms of the industry background. Experience-wise, as you can see, 5 to 25 years. We, of course, have a lot of people from the tri-state area, but there's a lot of people in the tri-state area who are, let's say we have a couple of people in New Jersey, one person who lives in Connecticut. There's quite a few people who live in Manhattan. And if you talk to all of them, they would tell you that there's no way I could come to the Hofstra campus to do an equivalent program on campus. And the only reason I'm doing it, one of the main reasons is that it's because it's online, that is. So we do get a lot of people from the tri-state area, but they would not be at Hofstra if it were not for this program, that is. The fall 2012 cohort, we had 20 people admitted, 18 people enrolled. And again, the difference is basically 2 people deposited and did not join, and actually one of them had has decided to join this fall. The other person we're still waiting to hear from what he is planning to do. You can see there's a roughly 2/3 and 1/3 split between the two majors. And again, a very similar type of work experience. I think Kevin was mentioning this at the very beginning, that our program, the online program, is almost like an executive MBA online program. And it's purely because of the diversity in experience, the years of work experience, and they bring a lot to the table. So if you have a person in finance, in insurance, in health, and in oil and gas, in a group work or a group project, let's say, it does bring a lot of mixing up in terms of the experience, and it leads to better discussions in the online courses. That is, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the online courses in a few minutes. And you can see geographically we are spread out again. We got our first 2 international candidates this last fall, and hopefully we'll get a equally diverse group for this coming fall. That is. So just to give you an idea about the first 2 cohorts. Let me go to the courses a little bit. One thing I should tell you up front is that if you want to see a demo course, we have a demo course available that's kind of a stripped down version of obviously a regular version, full version of the course. But if you're interested in looking at that, please send me an email. And as we mentioned before, the emails are at the end of the session, end of the presentation, that is. Send me an email and I'll send you the details as to how you need to log in to kind of view that course. So we call these courses asynchronous courses, which essentially means that for the most part, we're not asking you to come online during a given time of the day or a given day of the week. That's what asynchronous means here. So that allows the flexibility in the schedules, which you will not see elsewhere. Basically, in an on-ground course, basically, you have to come to campus at a fixed time, obviously, during the day and during the week, right? So, for instance, these courses, when they're taught on campus, they meet once a week for 2 hours and 20 minutes, and our classes start usually at 6 o'clock in the evening or at 8:30 in the evening. So, depending on how many courses you end up taking, you have to be on campus, probably 2 times a week, sometimes more than that, depending on the group work and all the other stuff that goes on. So this one really allows you to be flexible because there is no set time when you have to spend time on the courses. Now remember what I said at the beginning, which is these courses are all 7 weeks long. These are rigorous courses. The same course is taught on campus over 15 weeks. So you literally have basically 1/2 of the time that we have on the regular version of the course. The content is still the same, but because it's a full-time program, you're doing 2 courses at a time, and it's manageable. It has been manageable for the last 2 groups of students. You have to figure out your own schedule as to what works best for you, and that's the beauty of this, because you can decide, okay, I want to spend maybe an hour or 2 each evening to do the work, or maybe you have more time on a Wednesday evening, or obviously most of us have more time on the weekends. It really depends on how you want to work out your schedule, but as long as you do the work that is supposed to be done. And as a professor, I'll tell you that, well, it's a 7-week course. There will be things to do on a weekly basis. There is a lot of interaction in these courses. It's remotely, it's not even close to a correspondence type of course where I give you a bunch of materials to study and you come back at the end of the week to give a test or a quiz or something. It's not even remotely close to that. There's a lot of discussion forums. There are group presentations online. Some of the courses use case discussions online. You contribute to the forums, to the wikis and blogs. The learning system that we use, which is the Blackboard Learning Management System, has most of these features available to us. And so it's a very rich set of features that ends up being the overall course, that is. The last bullet point you can see is it says WebEx session synchronous component. Some of us actually end up using it because we feel that it's a good way to get the class together online, and it's like the webinar that we're having tonight, basically, where I get the group together for maybe an hour every week. And because the schedule doesn't work out great for everybody, if I say that, okay, we're going to meet, let's say, at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday, some of you may not be available during that time. So let's say over a 7-week course, we say, okay, we're going to do like 5 or 6 such sessions and try to be there maybe at least for 3 out of the 5 or 3 out of the 6 sessions. That's a very small component of the overall course. many of the professors actually do not use that synchronous component at all, so it depends on the professor how he or she is designing the course itself. But you can see it's a combination of lectures, both audio and video, presentations, discussion forums a lot. There are the usual tests and quizzes, and then case discussions and collaborative sessions. Again, if you have, if you do have, some interest in looking at how a course like this is taught, just shoot me an email and I'm going to send you some details on this. All right. I wanted to point out that, and I think this went out in an email from Kevin yesterday, that we have our one-day on-campus event for the current students next Friday, and we have this happy hour social with the current students. So if you're interested in having a frank discussion with the current students, and they're going to give you a lot of feedback, obviously, given their experience so far in the program, you're welcome to come and join us, basically. And in order to confirm the attendance, we need to have the RSVP into this particular email address so that we know exactly what the head count is. All right. So at this point, Kevin, do you have anything else to ask? Or if you have questions, I think we can answer some questions here, right?
We can answer a lot of questions because we actually, I think, have a record number today. So it's really a good turnout. So I will apologize to the audience because the questions came in very sporadically and they're not related. So some I will turn over to Dr. Sengupta and some I'll just simply answer. Dr. Sengupta, they're asking about transfer credit.
Okay, transfer credits is a standard one. Because we are an ASCSB accredited program, we accept up to 9 credits that you can transfer from an equivalent ASCSB accredited program. And these are done on a course-by-course basis. So if you have taken, let's say, an accounting course elsewhere, we'll have to look at the course description and most likely the syllabus for that course to decide whether that will count for the transfer or not. And you need to have, I believe, a grade of B or better for that transfer. All right, so up to 9 credits, which is equivalent of like 3 courses.
Next question, have we considered a cohort of more than 25?
Not at this point, no. I mean, we want to keep the cohort the same as a small number. And once we get to 25, as you can see, the last group has 20 students, had 20 students, and there's 18 there, which is a nice size because I just taught them this last fall semester. 18 to 20 students is actually the ideal size for an online class, and 25 is actually slightly larger than what we want, but there are no plans for more than 25 at this point. But again, if you are interested this fall, make the application happen. I mean, we have spots available, obviously. As Kevin mentioned, we've got a few deposits. 2 people from last year are most likely going to join. 1 is definitely going to join. So, yes, there's a cap there, but no, we don't want to go to a larger class at this point.
And I might add, the reason why there's a cap is that any good graduate program does not have large classes. The success of a good grad program is that you have small, intimate group settings to foster learning. And you really would not want a larger class than 25 because then you dilute the experience. If we were to ever go over 25, it would be 2 separate and clearly distinct cohorts, one for health services and one for strategic business management. But since we're still in our infancy stage, we need to keep one class cap of 25, and the students in that program would really appreciate that.
And I would tell you, as an instructor in the program, one of the best things with the online courses are the discussion forums and the online discussions that we have among each other. And the students learn from one another more than they learn from the professor in these forums. And the forums actually break down if you have too many people participating. So, so there's a way to control the participation in the forum. And that's also one of the reasons we want to keep these courses as interactive as possible and not make it a one-way street, basically. So, you know, the smaller the classes are, the better it is.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions all related to the financial. So I'll answer a couple and I'll kick the rest over to Dr. Sengupta. The deposit is non-refundable. So if you do decide that you want to send in a deposit to save your seat, the assumption for us is that you are going to come. So it is non-refundable. One reason for that, one of the large reasons for that, is because of the global practicum and everything else, because we have to plan this out a year in advance. So it's not like that, you know, we don't pay our bills as we go along. We have to lock in rates for the hotels, the travel, and everything like that, so the deposit is non-refundable. Along that same line, you cannot pay for courses as you go. Somebody asked, can you pay as you go? And that is not how the program works. I will turn it over to Dr. Sengupta because another related question to that is, how much do you pay up front and how do the payments break out? So the payment structure is very different. Dr. Sengupta?
Yeah, I think I don't know what the pay as you go means. I mean, if you're taking, let's say, I mean, it's not, the 64,500 is spread over 2 years. So I should just tell you that those 48 credits that you're looking at over the 2 years, I believe the first semester has 11 credits. The spring semester has also another 11 credits. Then you have got 5 credits over the summer, and then the remaining come the following fall and spring. So the 48 credits are spread over 2 years. And of course, that entire tuition, or not the tuition, but the entire program cost is split across the semesters based on the number of credits that you're taking. So if you're looking at 4 courses in the first semester, which is 11 credits, you can do the math there and say, okay, roughly about little less than a fourth of that 64,500 is going to be what you're liable to pay for the first semester, that is. So yes, it is a graduated payment because you're paying as you go in a way, because you're not paying everything up front, obviously, but you're paying by each semester. And if you stay in the cohort plan, then it's a fixed set of courses you're doing each semester. And so you're not, unless you go out of cohort after the first semester, then of course everything gets adjusted based on the number of credits that you take.
Okay. We have a question here about the duration of the global practicum and how many hours does it take for participating. What are the average number of hours for participating in class?
That's a good question. I think I should have mentioned that. The global practicum, I think I mentioned this, we leave usually, when we went to China this past summer, we left here on a Friday afternoon, slightly early evening that is, and we traveled and reached there Saturday, and then we were there that entire week, and then we were back the following weekend. So it's really a Friday to the following Sunday kind of a time frame. You really have to take off from work for that 1 week, essentially. Time-wise on courses, I think I mentioned this, each course, the equivalent course that is in this program that is taught on campus is 15 weeks long. It takes, we have classes of 2 hours and 20 minutes. So roughly we have about a 30 to 32 hour kind of a contact time for each of these courses over the entire semester. Now if you look at it, we compress that to 7 weeks, right? So basically you're looking at about 4.5 hours every week if you want to do the same equivalency, that is. It's not a straight one-to-one mapping because the online courses are structured very differently from the on-campus courses. It's a lot more flexible because you can do a lot more things there because, you know, a 1 week class on campus is 2 hours and 20 minutes, but in this case it is 4 hours, 4.5 hours of equivalent contact time, but you have 7 days over, you know, to kind of cover that 4.5 hours essentially. So you're looking at 4.5 hours for 2 courses, which means about 9 to 10 hours a week essentially is what you need to kind of get out of your other schedule. Find the time. Remember one thing, and we always tell this, online does not mean it is easy. It's actually much harder because the onus is on you as a student to do the coursework as we are expecting you to do. There's a lot of things that we can track as professors as to how you're doing in the courses. And I always say this, I've been teaching online myself for the last 6 years. I always tell the students it is much more difficult to hide. It's almost impossible to hide in an online course. You can sit in the back of a 40-student class on campus and not speak for the entire semester. That's okay. You know, that's not okay, but you can do it basically. But in an online course, you simply cannot do that essentially. So there's a lot of things that you have to do, but from a timing standpoint, as I said, you need to find about 8 to 10 hours every week because this is a rigorous program. It's an ASCSB accredited program, and the courses have the same quality as we are saying on campus. So, you know, just don't think that it's online means it's easy. So, so about 10 hours is, you know, what we're looking at, but again, spread over 7 days in the week.
Okay, so we have also, is there a deferment payment plan? The employer pays for the employee's education, but they want to find out about a deferment plan.
I'm not. What is the deferment plan? I'm not sure what this is.
Well, I can speak to that. Yes, the answer to that question is yes, there is a deferment plan. What we would need to have from your company essentially is a promissory note. That would be used much like a financial aid loan would be used, and we would bill the company directly. So for that person that asked the question, you can see on this slide Dr. Sengupta's email and my email. You can email me directly and just be very clear about your question. But yes, the answer to the question is we can work that out for you. We also have somebody that's asking, can you do a mix and match of courses online and in the residential format? The first answer is not really, but Dr. Sengupta can explain a little bit more in detail how that may work.
Well, the answer is not really, because as we were mentioning, the duration for the online courses are 7 weeks. The duration in the on-campus courses are 15 weeks. So it's going to be very difficult to match up the online with the on-campus version, number one. Number two is that the online program structure itself, including the tuition and everything else, the fact that we cover course materials and the cost of the practicum is included and everything else, right, makes it a very different program, and so we want to keep it distinct from the on-campus program, that is. Now, informally, if you want to ask a professor that I want to come and experience the on-campus version of the course for maybe a couple of sessions because I want to just experience it, you know, previously professors have allowed that basically on an informal basis. So if you want to come to the campus and sit in a couple of sessions, I think that's going to be okay. But not on a course-to-course basis. You know, we can't allow that because, again, because of the very different structure between the two programs, that is. Remember one thing, that all the professors are full-time faculty members. We teach on campus every semester. We are usually teaching on a 2-day schedule. We are there all the time. And so if you need to meet anybody, see a professor during his or her office hours, and or sit in his or her class, you know, that possibility is there always, but not on a course-to-course basis officially, that is.
Okay. Is there a distinction between online MBA and classroom MBA? Is it considered the same degree? The answer is yes. In fact, the curriculum is exactly the same, with the exception of the Strategic Business Management program. And it's actually nice to see that, you know, it was 80% that was interested in that program, because that is a very unique concentration, only a part of the online program. We do not offer the Strategic Business Management program in the residential format. So that would be the only distinction per se. However, the degree is considered the same. The diploma is the same. It does not identify online or anything like that. So if you come to Hofstra University and you earn your online MBA, your executive MBA, or your evening MBA, it's all the same degree. It's just simply a different structure and different delivery method. That is the difference between those programs. How much financial aid is typically given? For the person that answered that question, if you could email Dr. Sengupta directly, we have a point person in that department, and he can supply you with her name and email. Has anybody been accepted to the program yet? Yes, we already have people. We've had people from last year's application cycle defer, and now they're coming on board this year. And we've also accepted a number of other people who have already deposited. So again, we're well on our way to filling the class of 25.
Yeah, but I don't think that should be a deterrent for anybody who's on this webinar tonight, that you should not apply, because there are still seats available. But as we are mentioning, that, you know, we have filled up a few seats already, quite a few seats actually.
Yes.
So if you are serious about this fall, just make the application happen and, you know, submit as soon as possible.
I suspect that we perhaps might have more than one North Shore LIJ person on this webinar. We have a special relationship with North Shore because of the new School of Medicine that we brought on board on campus here last year. So for North Shore LIJ employees, also email Dr. Sengupta directly for more information about that partnership. We do participate in the Yellow Ribbon Program. We have somebody that's asking us about that. If you are interested in more information about that, you can email me directly. We just had a meeting today about the military and veterans partnership that we're trying to create. So we really do place high value on recruiting and bringing in military students. So I do appreciate getting that question, and we will work with you on that. Somebody's asking about what is the difference between the online MBA cost and the residential cost. Dr. Sengupta?
I would say the online MBA cost, I don't know, roughly speaking, it's about $12,000 more. And again, remember one thing, that when I say $12,000 more, it's purely the difference between the overall program cost for the online program and the tuition cost for the on-campus program. And that, of course, does not include the components like the residency and the global practicum, which are not there in the evening program, and the course materials, which, as I mentioned to you before, anywhere from $150 to $300 a course, and that could run you about another $3,000–4,000. So if you look at the difference between the two programs, and the value add in terms of the online program is obviously much more, because you're in a much smaller class, you're with the same group of students throughout the entire 2 years if you stay in the cohort plan, and you have these components like the international trip. We don't have anything like that in the evening program. So you got to count the value for that program compared to what you're paying for it, and it's really not that much more, incrementally more, that is. And we have to build that in, the incrementally more, the additional amount, because of these additional value add components, that is.
Okay, somebody's asking, can I apply without a business undergrad or business background? Absolutely. We encourage people to apply to the program from all walks of life. So it does not matter what your undergrad degree was in, as long as you qualify, or how you qualify for the program is that you have to have completed a 4-year bachelor's degree or an equivalent. For international students, that equivalent would have to be assessed by the World Education Service or some related credible service like that. We would be able to then determine your eligibility for enrolling in the program. Dr. Sengupta, somebody's asking for you to put the happy hour information back up.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, I think that'll be really good, even because it's going to be a direct interaction, and we will be there, Kevin and myself, but you get to talk to the current students, and it'll be a no-holds-barred interaction, basically. They can say whatever they want about the program to you.
And I will add that this cohort is a very, very vocal cohort, as they should be. This program is a grassroots program again. We really want to get everybody involved. They want to be happy with their experience, and they also want to make sure they leave a legacy, so they do voice their opinion. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin, one more point to that. I should just add that because this is still we consider this still a new program, because it's still in its infancy is what we call it. We have done a lot of changes to this program based on the feedback from the last two groups of students. And they obviously, as Kevin, you're mentioning, that they want to see this program succeed because it's their legacy, because they were the first two groups in the program. They've given a lot of good feedback, and we have actually acted on quite a few of those, and tried to make the program better. So, and therefore, your interaction, if you can make it to that event next Friday, would be really important.
I'd like to just put up our last poll. We have about a minute left. If you all could take a minute just to answer this question, this will also help Dr. Sengupta and I assess, of all those people that are on here, who is interested in starting this fall. Okay, I've got some great news, and I've got one additional comment. Dr. Sengupta, every single person that's on this webinar that participated in the poll plans to start this fall. The last question for the night, and I say that with the understanding that you can email Dr. Sengupta and I, and we will absolutely get back in touch with you in a very timely manner. Are the cost of the books included in the price, and what is the form? E-books, hardcover, what have you?
I think I mentioned it is included in the price, and in the spirit of this being an online program, we cover the cost for the books and the course materials as long as they are in the e-format. And again, this works okay for some. It does not work okay for others who may want a hardcover book, basically. And the cost is structured in such that we're covering the cost for the e-books. So if you want the print version, there is a small difference between the print version and the e-version, as you know, and you pay for the difference, basically. And the students are okay with that because, 90% of the cost is covered. If there's a 10% difference, they pay out of pocket, basically. I'm really happy to note that if all of you who are attending are planning for this fall, we should get a spurt of applications over the next few weeks, and let's see what happens. But please follow through, because as we're saying, we're serious when we say this is going to be only 25 students, and we've already made a few decisions already. And so if you're really interested, please get your documents in. One thing I should note is you don't have to wait to get everything ready before you submit your application. So for instance, Kevin was mentioning that you can start your form to take advantage of the fee waiver, number one. Number two is you can obviously get your resume and your statement ready, and you could send that in and then get the 2 recommendations in, and you could actually send us the copy of your unofficial transcripts. We can make a conditional decision on your application based on those documents, assuming that we are giving you the GMAT waiver, because if we don't give you the GMAT waiver, then you need the GMAT score. But what we're saying is that you could progressively fill up the application, and then once we get everything in, then we do the review, basically. But you don't have to wait until the very end to get everything ready to send everything in at one time, that is.
And with that said, I will say that everybody that did take the poll, to follow up what Dr. Sengupta said, if everybody were to apply and be accepted, we would actually be officially closed for the fall 2013 intake. So apply, apply, apply. And with that, this is Kevin Taylor. I appreciate your time with us. I appreciate you affording us the opportunity to tell you about our program. And I wish you all a good evening. I'll turn it over to Dr. Sengupta for his final words.
Thanks a lot for attending. Thanks, Kevin. And as you can see the slide on there, it's also on, if you go to the hofstra.edu/online MBA, the program website is all there. All the details and much more details actually is on that site. And of course, our contact addresses and phone numbers are there. So if you want to go to that site and contact us for any questions, if you want to send us the resume, great. Just let us know. We are very fast in getting back, and usually we get decisions in. Once your application is in, it doesn't take more than a few days to get back with a decision. All right. So if you are interested, again, seriously, therefore, please make the application happen.